My name's Ian Slater and I am the Senior Vice President at Mastercard in the Enterprise Partnerships team. Enterprise Partnerships is a new direction for Mastercard. We've been around for about 2 years now with the aim of helping the company to open up new spaces, of which travel is a very important one. People are leveraging travel-based applications on phones and then embedding payment into those. Uber is a fantastic example. The number of people who now no longer have themselves a car booked or arrive and find the taxi rank when they arrive at an airport, but are leveraging Uber. They're leveraging the same card that is stored in the system to manage that payment is increasing week on week, month on month, year on year. So I think that, that embedding of the payment alongside the travel experience will only continue. One of the things that we see is that is a significant pain point for a traveller is a lot of people arrive in a new city and their first interaction with a new city is how do they get from the airport into the city. And for the vast variety of people that means using public transport. And therefore you only have to go to any major airline hub in the world and see the queue of confused business travellers and tourists trying to work out how do they pay for the relevant transit token to get them into the centre of town. Contactless technology in the way that it's happening in London, where people have a contactless enabled card and they just tap on the system and then they tap out at the other end of the system. They don't need to worry about getting some form of payment product specific to that transit system, is a significant utility to travellers around the world. The payment is an end result and is often seen as a hygiene factor. The aim of fintech should be to make that payment as smooth, as seamless, and as unintrusive in the consumer's or the business's overall purchasing experience as possible. In the first transaction, a business traveller will contact their travel agent and they will tell them, I want to go to New York and I want a flight, I want a hotel, I want a car, and they will ask the travel agent to make that booking on their behalf. Now, in order to do that, they will then provide their card or their payment tool to that travel agent. So there is a first transaction there. So I think in that initial interaction, things like mobile are becoming increasingly important because people are increasingly interacting with their travel provider through the mobile device. There's then a secondary transaction that sits behind that. So that agent, that third-party intermediary, then has to facilitate payments to all of the elements of those bookings on behalf of the business traveller. And that is where things like virtual card are coming in. So card has a huge amount of benefit, and virtual card in particular has a huge amount of benefit in this space. It's better for reconciliation, it is less prone to fraud, it's faster to get payment. You know where the transaction is at any point in its initiation. Over the next couple of years, we're going to see increasing use of mobile for the first transaction, and then the manifest benefits of virtual card come into play in the secondary transaction, which is where I think some of the stuff that Amadeus is doing are very important because they're doing two things. So they're firstly leveraging this virtual card technology, but they're also making sure that it is embedded in all of the interaction points along that secondary transaction. So they're embedding it in the travel agent and ensuring that it is then acceptable to the end travel provider. So you have a seamless experience at that point. I think data is becoming increasingly important. So if you think about the particular data that a corporate needs for its travel program, there are a couple of things to bear in mind. So what does a corporate need to do to protect itself? So it needs to understand through the data that's being used that the people who they have allowed to make payments whilst on travel are doing the types of things that they want them to do. The corporate doesn't know anything about it. So all it knows is that the individual is traveling, has spent at the places that it is allowed. It doesn't know that they have tried to spend at places where they have not allowed. Now, increasingly through data, we can learn where people are spending and we can make sure that the right behaviour is being made so the corporate can protect itself from a reputational perspective. So that's the first thing. The data can be leveraged to do that. People can interrogate the data and say what is happening at this particular point in time. The second thing is that most corporates want to make for a good experience for their travellers. They want their travellers who are away from home, they're away from their family, to have as smooth and seamless an experience as possible. Not least because they have a duty of care over those individuals, But also it's part of one of the things that a corporate will look to do through its corporate culture, to ensure that when people are away from home they feel looked after. So by learning through the data they can make sure that people are getting the types of services and facilities that they need.